Okay, so continuing on with energy, all right, we're almost there. Sustainability, you need to know this term, okay, so you have to write this down. The process by which people in present times have access to all resources necessary for a high quality of life without affecting the ability of future generations having access to the same levels. So it's about having a good quality of life now, but also ensuring that the future generations have a similar quality of life. So sustainability is seen as a three-legged stool, okay? You have to consider the economic factors, the costs and the jobs and the wealth, social, the quality of people's lives, health and education, and then the environmental, the quality of the environment. Okay, so you must consider all of these three things in order to be fully sustainable in business, in energy production, in education. All of these different things you have to consider. Okay, so those are the three main factors. And we're going to zip back to page 127 of New Wider World, okay, about appropriate technology. Before we do, you can do a little subheading here like this, and then I just want some examples of appropriate technology. So micro dams in Peru and Nepal, both quite poor countries, small scale mining in Zimbabwe, and wind pumps in Kenya. Now all of these are poor countries, so you should already be thinking, right, appropriate technology must be something for poorer countries. So let's have a little read through what exactly it is. Okay, so again, on page 127 of New Wider World, this is the introduction and use of a technology that is both appropriate to the needs, skills, knowledge and wealth of local people and suitable to the environment in which they live. That's all it is. Okay, so it's pretty self-explanatory. There's no point going into a poor country and giving people advanced technology and saying, there you go, that'll fix the problem. If they don't know how to use it, if they don't know how to fix it when it breaks and so on, you haven't improved anything. So you have to use technology that is of an appropriate level to allow these people to then use it and improve that quality of life. So this is something used to make places or help places become sustainable. Okay, why is it needed? Reliable, accessible and affordable energy supplies can play an important role in improving living conditions in the developing world. That's the poor world. So simply by getting reliable and accessible and affordable energy, it can improve everyone's life. Okay, so it only works through this appropriate technology. Right, like I said, you can't burst into a poor country with the most advanced computers and stuff and nobody knows what's going on or how to use it. Okay, so back to our PowerPoint. All right, we're going to look at a little case study about Alaska, like I said, okay, in the oil industry. So again, we'll come back to New Wider World shortly. But what we have here is a couple of things. So the ecologically sensitive areas. Unfortunately, a lot of our energy resources seem to be in ecologically or environmentally sensitive or vulnerable or fragile places. Okay, you can see this kind of jungle area, and this guy is lifting almost crude oil straight off the surface. Okay, so it's not good. Where we're going to look at is a place called the Beaufort Sea. So this is right up. Here's America, so it's right up by Alaska, where I pointed out the last time. Here's the Beaufort Sea. Okay, you got Alaska and Canada. All right, and ExxonMobil is the largest oil company in the world and fourth largest in the world, and it's the people who started drilling for oil. Okay, so they built this huge big plant out in the middle of nowhere. You can see in the photo there's nothing going on there. Okay, and it's going to have a wide range of benefits and costs for Alaska. So let me just go down. Beaufort Sea and ExxonMobil. Okay, so it produces nearly 10,000 barrels of oil a day to be exported to Asia. Okay, so this will increase the economy of the US. That's one positive. All right, cost of constructing the facility or the oil extraction was $4 billion. Okay, because it was so remote and the place was so out of the way and so freezing cold, it was very expensive. So that's a disadvantage. It didn't provide employment for 800 workers, so that's a positive. All right, and then it also found a huge amount of gas. Okay, 35 billion cubic feet. All right, so huge. I can't even imagine what that's like, but it's a huge amount that will last for years. So it's a long-term benefit. All right. Now, what we're going to look at is the oil industry does not have a good record of protecting the environment in the Arctic. All right. any damage is likely to cause huge environmental costs. All right, so we're going to look at what happened there, because there was, of course, an accident. One last thing I want to do here before we look at the textbook is highlight the people who are involved in this. Whenever there's a discussion or a decision to be made about extracting energy, oil and coal and gas in particular, you need to consider the government, the local or indigenous people, environmental groups, and the TNC, the large company involved, in this case Exxon. All right, so the government unfortunately tend to be in favor of taking or extracting oil and gas, as it generates money, like we just saw. Okay, this was going to generate huge money for the US. The local people tend to object, okay, because they normally suffer the consequences like contaminated water, loss of wildlife, so on, pollution in the air that they have to breathe, stuff like that. Environmental groups obviously oppose any of this extraction as well, because it destroys habitats for the animals. And TNCs are obviously in favor because it makes them a huge amount of money. Okay, they have to pretend or have to make it look like they care about the environment, but everybody knows they're just out to make a fortune. All right, we're going to look at a little bit more detail from New Wider World in just a minute. But consider, like I said, the Bahamas is going to start drilling for oil soon off of Andros. So try and think about what would happen with these groups about that decision. Okay, so page 128 of New Wider World. Okay, so oil in Alaska. So the oil field, okay, contains 1/3 of the USA's known oil reserves. All right, so it could last for a very long time and produce millions of dollars. Okay, now there was a problem because it's so isolated. We're up here near the Arctic. Okay, they'd have to come all the way around Alaska. So the first idea was giant oil tankers bring them through the Arctic Ocean and around Alaska. This route was rejected as being too dangerous, so they were going to try and get it here and ship it all the way around there. Too dangerous. The second option, and the one they decided on, was by pipeline. A pipeline over 1,200 kilometers in length, going directly south across Alaska to the ice-free port of Valdez. Okay, it was going to have to go through mountain ranges, all right, and all sorts of things, under rivers, and again, Alaska is covered in ice for most. Well, a lot of it's covered in ice for most of the year. So this is the pipeline that they decided on. All right, 1,200 kilometers long. All right, so let's have a little look at some of the impacts. So this is just to try and give you an idea of just how the lengths people will go to for energy. Physical problems, isolation, there's no road there at all, no way to get there, so they have to build everything from scratch. Temperatures of minus 50 degrees in winter, okay, heavy snowfall. The ground is permanently frozen. When the ground does become unfrozen, it fills with water and becomes like a big soup. Had to go across 3 mountain ranges, okay. There's an earthquake zone along the southern coast of Alaska, and there's 350 rivers to cross, all right, just to pump this oil and gas. Some of the environmental concerns: very fragile ecosystem that will get destroyed. Okay, wildlife that migrate and breed in these areas would be scared away and not come back. Local people may be forced to sell their land and to move. So the company went in and bought land that they wanted to build the pipeline through, forcing local people out. Okay, and obviously this is the big one. There was always a big threat of oil spills, and that is exactly what happened. All right, so we'll finish that off in the next final little video.